We'll get started then. Well, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. We'll have a few remarks from the three of us, and then we'll take a few questions, and I'm hoping we can, not to rush everybody out, but hopefully get out of the room by around 4:30 or as promptly as we can after, because city staff are going to be closing up. So my name is Councilor Neubieser. I represent Ward 1, part of the Burlington Progressive Caucus here in the city. The character of our community is being threatened right now by the rising cost of housing and how unaffordable our city is. The number of households that cannot afford to live in our city has become a major obstacle. Renters face large and unmanageable rent increases. Moderate income families cannot find affordable homes to rent or to buy. People live on our streets and parks because they are being priced out. Housing costs for homeowners and renters alike are rising much faster than household incomes. If we cannot keep up and attract and retain families, elders, and young folks, we are going to lose the social, economic, and cultural diversity that creates a vibrant community. Market or supply-side economics have not and will not solve this problem. It's not enough to just say we need to build more housing. Creative solutions are required at the federal, state, and local level to strengthen our housing sector and make sure that it serves everyone, not just investors and those who can afford million-dollar homes. A stronger commitment to addressing the multiple challenges of affordability is being demanded by residents, businesses, and nonprofit housing providers alike. Beginning with Bernie's administration in the 1980s, progressives have fought to create housing opportunities for low and moderate income folks, and to preserve and to protect diverse neighborhoods. Burlington has evolved an innovative, sophisticated network of affordable housing providers, including folks like the Champlain Housing Trust, Cathedral Square, COTS, Home Share Vermont, and many others. City programs and initiatives like inclusionary zoning and the Housing Trust Fund offer incredible opportunities that we can build upon. Increasing opportunities in housing requires partnerships and a united effort among all of these stakeholders. So the Progressive Caucus is here today to share our agenda for how we are going to make the housing market in Burlington more affordable and more accessible for renters and homeowners alike. So we have two operating goals, and these are the two goals we're going to use every tool at our disposal in order to achieve. First is to expand and protect the city's current stock of permanently affordable housing. And second is to treat tenants who make up more than 60% of the residents who live in Burlington fairly and ensure they have access to safe, affordable rental housing. So I'm going to turn it over to my two wonderful colleagues to my left and right, Councilor Bergman and Councilor Broderick, to speak about specifically how we are going to go about in the next few months to a year to address both these goals and some of the initiatives and policies we're going to pursue as the Burlington Progressive Caucus. So first up is Councilor Bergman.
Hi, I'm Gene Bergman. Thanks all for coming. I'm the City Councilor for Ward 2. Housing actually has been something that I have focused on for all of my my life in Burlington, really, since 1973 when I organized tenants on North Street, and we fought around outrageous rents and low to no vacancy. So this has been a problem that's been going on for a long time, and a number of you have been here for a while, and I have to tell you that when I've gone door to door over the last few years, the number one thing in Ward 1 and Ward 2, I represent Ward 2, that people talk to me about is actually housing affordability, right? We all know that there's lots of other issues that are at play, but housing affordability is something that is on top of people's minds because, you know, they're having an incredibly hard time staying in houses that they're living in. The other thing before I get into these details is it is really clear that this is a monumental problem that will not be solved by if we were to even be really successful in all of our initiatives in the next year. So this is a real struggle that we've got to make sure that we are doing the best we can to make housing a human right, not a commodity. And with that, one of the things that we absolutely have to do is one of these pillars is to greatly increase the city's portfolio of permanently affordable housing. We've got a large portfolio, but it is woefully inadequate. So first and foremost, since the major tool that we've got is the Housing Trust Fund, is to grow that fund by at least $1 million, which will allow us to leverage state and federal funds. And we are looking right now at creating a city property transfer tax. You know, the reappraisal, anybody who's looked at the cost, the appraised cost, the assessed cost of housing know how high it is. We have got an acute crisis of affordability here, and we need to be able to tap into the funds that are, you know, the inflation that has come about in housing costs. Some might even call it speculation that's occurring there. So this is a tool that we'd be looking to acquire. The other thing, it should be no secret that UVM plays an incredibly big role in the city, not the least of which is its impact on housing. And there has been a housing deficit that we have called on UVM to solve, right? Because they've just basically thrown people out from university housing. They've over-enrolled, they've underhoused. And part of that, and part of our agenda right now, is to also focus not just on building housing, but to make sure that a portion, at least a significant portion of its housing at rental rates that are affordable to students. You know, we've got a crisis in student loan repayment. We have a federal government that is walking away from that, right? And what are people getting student loans from? And my colleague here can talk about that if he'd like, but part of it is for housing costs. This is essential if we're going to make the cost of housing, cost of education affordable, as well as just the basic cost of living. This is something that it has an impact well into the future. The next thing is inclusionary zoning. I see Erhard Manka, who is a longtime housing advocate. He was Bernie's housing advocate for a long period of time. And we served on the city council in the 1980s. And he tried very hard to pass inclusionary zoning. I was able to get that over the finish line, but we don't get inclusionary zoning without Erhard Manka. But this is a tool that we've got. It's been under attack over the years by neoliberals who don't believe that anything more than just letting the market go wild is going to solve the problem. I have, for the last 40, 50 years, believed that if you build housing for rich and upper class people, that you need to build housing for working people. And that's what inclusionary zoning does. And we need to make sure, in particular, that the infill housing that we've got in the city, you look at the south end, you look at what we've done with neighborhood code in the north end, that is affordable, that there are components of it of affordability. So we are going to continue and we'll be looking at that from our zoning ordinance. Several cities around the country have what is called a rental right of first refusal, so that you're a tenant, your property owner, your landlord is flipping the house. Many cities, Washington DC is one of them, that requires that tenants and housing organizations get the first opportunity to buy the houses when they go on for sale. And that we can use the Housing Trust Fund that I was talking about to provide assistance, technical assistance, because it's hard to buy a house, right? It just is, and it's more complicated if you've got a number of units and you've got tenants there. So we need to have the resources to do that, but we definitely should be having that as a right of tenants. There is a concept called gentrification. And lots of people talk about gentrification as the improvement of neighborhood, and we want improvement of neighborhoods. But what we do not want is gentrification with displacement. This is an essential tool to dealing with displacement. One, two, three, four. The fifth thing is around our new neighborhoods. Again, those of you who have been covering the city know that we have had new zoning laws, the neighborhood code, we've got the South End development. All of those are new developments that should bring a lot of housing. And what we are looking to do in our proposals is to use city bonding authority, tax stabilization, the new state law, and other municipal finance mechanisms to fund the infrastructure for permanently affordable housing. And that also means increasing affordability requirements in neighborhoods where there is going to be a significant investment of city resources that's required. Anybody who has followed the South End development will know that the stormwater retention issue and the other water issues there is huge. It's going to require huge public investment. And we need to be able to tie that to the affordability, because at the end of the day, we have to have a city that works for the many and not just for the few. And finally, tax assessment reform. Again, I talked about the reappraisal, but what we're really looking to do is see that when we assess the value of homes, that not only is it consistent and fair, but that if a landlord is going to keep their rents down, that we can take that into account in the appraisal process. And that's something that actually doesn't quite happen in the fair market value appraisal system that we've got. There are mechanisms in the state law for permanently affordable housing. We're looking to sort of tweak that, to increase that, to give landlords an incentive to be able to keep their rents down and not have them be at a competitive disadvantage given the high costs that everybody is feeling right now. I have exhausted my time. Thank you. And now I will turn it to my friend and colleague, Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Councilor Bergman. My name is Marek Broderick. I'm a Burlington City Councilor representing Ward 8. I am both a student and a tenant, two groups here in Burlington that are sorely underrepresented, both in government and in the ability to have the power and the ability to reside in Burlington. So thank you, Councilor Bergman, for your points on how we sorely need to expand our housing stock and ensure that it is perpetually affordable. I'm going to talk about the tenant side, where tenants need to be treated fairly. Tenants need to be treated fairly, and power needs to be transferred from the landlords who control whether or not we are housed or not, and transfer that to the tenants. And that can take many forms. So some of those forms will include education, creating a Burlington-specific rental housing information hub where renters can access information on rents, on landlords, on their legal rights as tenants, on our housing code, and other essential information for someone who's navigating the housing market here in Burlington. That means protecting and supporting our tenants now, which means ensuring that our housing code is enforced everywhere in this city, including on our college campuses, which means periodic inspections of campus housing by the city. It includes providing more support to assist in addressing safety concerns felt in Burlington Housing Authority housing, where some of our most economically vulnerable residents live.
It means directing new resources to CVOEO's Coordinated Entry Program, which helps those at risk of becoming homeless get connected with support and resources to help them stay in their homes. We need to defend and enforce our existing policies protecting renters and protecting our housing stock, which means providing rigorous defense and enforcement of our short-term rental ordinance. Short-term rentals, they consume our housing market by leaving them vacant to people who want to reside in Burlington long-term. If those are going to continue to exist in our city, then the city needs a cut of those profits to continue to work and provide perpetually affordable housing in our city. We need to prevent the gutting of our condo conversion ordinance, which gives certified tenant organizations the first right of purchase when their rentals are set to be converted to condos, and levies a conversion fee that helps to fund our housing trust, which, as my colleagues have said, is the tool that we as a municipality can use to create more affordable housing. That's what I believe that we can do now and in the short term, and those are all great, but as Burlington tends to do, we need to continue pushing forward and implementing new and creative policies that are time-tested, even when we are faced up against inaction from Montpelier. That means pushing for legislative approval of voter-approved just cause eviction protections that the state continues to deny the people of Burlington. And finally, we need to stabilize the rents in Burlington. Rent increases are out of control, and it is causing people to be forced to leave our city, forcing people into homelessness, and preventing our city from growing in the way that Councilor Neubieser had talked about. That is going to be hard. That is a charter change, and as I just talked about with just cause eviction, the state refuses to take action on supporting tenants in Burlington. But that does not mean that Burlington cannot continue to be the tip of the spear in Vermont on making all of our lives better and proving that a better world and a better Burlington is possible. So thank you.
So we'll end here and then take a few questions. I just want to end by saying we as progressives have a long and celebrated tradition of preserving, protecting, and expanding affordable housing in our city and across the state of Vermont. We intend to continue that tradition unapologetically and with a clear mandate from residents to build permanently affordable housing, not just high-end market rate rental opportunities for those with means, often from out of state. Over the coming months, we'll be introducing initiatives at the council level reflective of the priorities we just laid out.